Well, I don't know how articulate I will be this morning because I don't feel like there's much of a connection yet between my brain and my mouth. That's another thing that's good about YouTube for me, is it's helping me learn to express verbally my ideas and thoughts, because I kind of grew up in a situation where I did a lot of communicating by writing notes. Long story, anyway, and I write. I try to write if I wasn't dealing with depression, and I used to be very creative. And what's nice, and I guess one reason why I really like Animoto, is it's the first creativity that I've done that I've really enjoyed doing. I used to love to be express myself through art and drawings and every way that I could. I love to sing, believe it or not. Was not the best singer in the world. I'm really, really loud, but I know. Oh dear. I guess if you're drunk, I sound good. And what else? Oh, and I write. I've written 2 books. I still have hopes for the second one. I just need to get off my ass and put it back into digital form. And I don't know if I'll ever do that, or if I might just write something else, because that book was written. I started writing that book, wow, about 15 years ago, I think, maybe even longer. And so I'm a different person now. I've learned a lot about life. And again, if I go through the rewrite, if I rewrite it again, it's been rewritten about 15 times. Yes, I want it to be as good as possible before I try to get it to an agent, or try to get an agent. But now that I've had a lot of stuff in my life, I feel like I'm a different person, and maybe if I rewrote it one more time, that book would be a lot more solid. So yes, I have a lot of creativity in me, but depression has really snuffed it out. So this is really good for me, but also it's teaching me to articulate my ideas. So on the subject of articulation, I'm not gonna repeat or read back what somebody wrote me, but the gist of it was, this person doesn't believe that we are born with rights, that we are all born, I'm trying to think of the word that the founding fathers, unalienable, I don't know if that's the word. Anyway, and I'm not going to look it up because I'm too lazy. But in the Constitution, I believe it's in the Constitution. Again, I'm barely here right now. I should be Googling this. Okay, let's see. Google. Okay, Googling. Unalienable rights. Definition of unalienable by Free Online Dictionary. Not to be separated. Oh wait, I clicked on it, now it went away. Oh here. Okay, let me scroll down. Well, okay. Eventually I'll get down to it. Belonging to a thing by its very nature. Form was treated as something intrinsic, as the very essence of the thing. That's John Dewey's quote. You know, this is a crappy page. This is what? Oh, I'm on the Free Dictionary by Farlex, and it's like there's a whole page of different pronunciations, not to be separated, given away, or taken away, in unalienable, whatever. Okay, so at least I had the right word. I think we're all born with those rights. I think that those rights are everybody's right by birth into the society. We are all, even if you're not born into the society, but whatever, you know, just as a living thing. I think animals have rights. I think it would, in a perfect world, animals should have the same rights that humans do. But if that were true, we would not be eating meat. And I am an omnivore. I do eat meat. So I suppose when you take an animal to a slaughterhouse and kill it, you're taking away its rights. So I don't really think that, I think in, like I said, a perfect world, animals and humans should have the same rights, but it's not a perfect world. So until we learn how to invent or how to have meat without killing or taking away life, I guess we'll be taking away rights of animals, which sucks. But there it is. I like meat, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But I have to confess too that I deliberately do not watch videos that show what animals go through at slaughterhouses, because it's horrible. I know it's horrible. I've seen glimpses of it, and it's like, I don't want to see that, because if I see that, I won't be able to eat what I enjoy eating, because I think it's horrible. That said, I still have blinders on, don't I? I think we choose our blinders. I think my blinders, I used to have a lot more than I do now, but that's one set that I still have firmly in place. I don't want to know how much suffering goes on before I get my hamburger. I really don't. I don't want to know. I know that if I knew, it would totally make me want to throw up, and I'd have to stop eating things that I like to eat, and that would be really hard for me, because one of the few joys in my life right now is I like to eat, and that's why I'm fat. So, well, I guess I'm not huge. Well, you know what? I think you don't really have to be that fat to be classified as obese in the medical world. And anyway, I'm about 40 pounds overweight, so whatever you want to call it. No, this person thinks that there's no such thing as rights, that they're privileges, that we all have privileges, and I don't like that word. Privileges are things that, one, you can't ever count on. They can be taken away or bestowed upon you. So like women who have been fighting forever to have equal rights, what if we finally get to the point where, okay, we're gonna let women get the same pay as men, and then they say, oh, you know, let's do away with that one, because that one's really, we're having trouble keeping up with that one, so we're gonna just do away with it. Suddenly women go back to being second-class citizens, only making 85 cents on the dollar, after getting to come to rely on having a dollar's worth of a dollar. That would suck. Or letting women have the right to choose whether or not they're pregnant. And then, oh, you know, this month we're going to take that away. You guys, you're breeding stock now. You're full human beings until you're pregnant, but then once you're pregnant, you no longer have rights over your own body, and the government owns you, and they can decide what happens to you at this point. I don't think that's right. I think that human beings have unalienable rights from birth. I don't think it's something we have to earn. I think it's something we are born with. I don't know what all of them are. I know that right to privacy is one. Right to know what you're being accused of. You know, if they're punishing you or they're going to punish you, I think you should have a right to defend yourself, to know what you're being accused of, to have a right to confront your accuser and have a rebuttal, have your say back. I know what that feels like to not have that, because that's what happened to me at the bar. 3 years of being accused of something without having any knowledge of it, not even getting to get my side of the story out, my explanation. So it really sucks to have that right taken away. And have, oh, you know what, we're just going to make up the story about Diane and let it destroy her. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's see, what other rights? I said privacy already. Right to pursue happiness. I think we all should have an equal right to pursue happiness. And that would include same-sex marriage. I think that the moment you say this group over here is special and they get to do this but you guys don't, I'm sorry, but no. Either everybody has that right, or they don't have that, or nobody has that right. And I'm sorry, but somebody's religion, a right to not have somebody cram their religion down your throat. There's another one that I just made up. freedom of speech. I think there should be freedom of speech. Right to, well, I think there should be limits to freedom of speech, though. But on the other hand, that's a tough one for me, because I don't think it should be wrong to say that Islam is a barbaric, horrible, just as horrible as Christianity. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm saying it's just as bad as Christianity. And I don't like it. I don't like how it treats women, what it perpetuates. I don't like the bigotry and racism and sexism and all that stuff that these patriarchal religions promote. Okay, so I should have the right to say that. I should have the right to criticize things that I think are wrong and that cause harm to society. I should have that right. So, saying that, I think there should be free speech, but there should be some kind of limit. Like, I guess the classic example is you can't yell fire in a theater. Of course you can if the theater's on fire, but the point is, anyway, again, it's a gray area. I think that the internet is a problem when it comes to free speech. I think that I should be able to say my side of the story, as in like the thing with the bartender. I should be able to warn other women what happened to me, so maybe it doesn't happen to somebody else. I think that that's a right, and I should, if I'm not sending actual letters or whatever to somebody, I don't think that it's any of their business. I am using an experience that I learned from, and I'm telling other people about it, so hopefully they don't have to learn the same lesson. So I think that there should be, I think people, the internet laws are a little too strict as far as speech. Sending somebody an email, I don't think that's stalking somebody. So anyway, if you're pounding them with emails, yes, I think that is, especially if they say stop and you keep going. I think that would be harassment. But if you're just sending them one letter, or whatever, I don't think that's harassment. And I know when I was going through the thing with the bar, I talked to somebody who was being accused of harassment because he had sent one text to somebody. That's a little ridiculous. So, yeah, being endowed with unalienable rights from birth, I think that's something that needs to be fought for tooth and nail. The day that we start believing that it's not, that we don't have rights and that it's just a privilege to be doled out as others see fit, that's dangerous and that's wrong. Some people don't have the ability to fight for their rights. Some people are incapacitated in some way, and they are relying on other people to defend their basic human rights. And they shouldn't be at the mercy of somebody. Well, maybe we should let them live, They're kind of a burden on society because, they're not really contributing to society, so maybe we should just euthanize them. Just get rid of them, take them out. We have too many people on the planet, so let's euthanize all of our people who are old or infirm or whatever that aren't contributing enough to society. Let's just euthanize them. Let's take away their lives because they don't have any rights. Their right to live on the planet is just a privilege that we decide whether or not they get to have. That's really a dangerous way to think, and that's kind of the gist of what I was getting from this person who was writing me, that we don't have rights, we have privileges. No, we have rights. And you know when your rights have been stepped on. You know it because you get angry and livid. I mean, everybody has a sense of what their rights are. I wish I could say them. Well, here I'm. I wonder if I can Google this. Oh, shoot. I'm trying to learn to use Google more because for the longest time, what are the basic rights of a human being? Okay. I'm sure that this is subject to, trying to find a list to different people's interpretations or whatever. Civic and political rights. I said civical. I think I just made up a word. What are basic human rights? You know what I hate about these search engines is you put in something and then it takes you to another search engine. Okay. Basic human rights include civil and political rights. For example, the right to life and liberty, freedom of expression, equality before the law. I think there should be just equality, period. And that's from the economic, social, and... Oh, no, I think I'm reading further. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. I guess I have to go down to the link to read the whole thing. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political, or other opinion, national or social origins, property, birth, or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional, or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it be independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under any other limitation or sovereignty. Like I said, this is from, I'm just reading this from a website. It's wikianswers.com. So, well, anyway, who knows how... everyone has the right to liberty, life, liberty, and security of person. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. I consider forcing a woman to be pregnant against her will in that category. Degrading treatment. I consider saying to a woman, well, I'm sorry, but you have to have this baby, is degrading treatment. I'm sorry, but I don't put a fetus's potential life ahead of a living, breathing, thinking human being. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. These are rights. These are not something you can just dole out as a privilege. Oh, well, we're going to let you have these, for a while, but then we're going to take some of these away. And that's just the other thing about women's rights and taking away the right to choose. The moment you start letting people take your rights away, even if the right to choose doesn't affect you for whatever reason, you've opened the door to other rights being in danger of being taken away. You should fight for every right that we have, including the right to have control over your own body. And yes, there should be limits. You shouldn't be allowed to have an abortion at a certain point in a pregnancy. But, if in my opinion, if the life inside cannot live outside of the body of the mother, that woman still has control over whether or not she has that baby. Okay, back to the listing. All are equal before the law, and all are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. Everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights granted him by the Constitution or by law. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Really? I won't get into what I was thinking about that. Exile and me, anyway. Okay, I'm going to read the next one again. I got cut off because my camera ran out of memory. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his... I think I might have... Okay, I went to the wrong place. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Everyone is entitled to full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations and of other criminal charges against him. Anyway, this is going to get really boring if I keep reading this, so I'm going to stop now. But those are basic rights of humans, according to this particular website, which I'm sure that depending on where you go, you're going to read different definitions. So I think there's others. People should have the right to not be beat up. People should have the right to not be controlled or belittled or have their power taken away as human beings. People who basically put other people down to make themselves you can tell it's morning because my voice keeps going away, to make themselves feel superior. I think that's abusive. I think there's a lot of stuff that isn't written down that we just, as good people, know is right to not do it or to do it, depending. Anytime you hurt somebody's feelings, on purpose. I mean, there's limits. Of course, you're gonna excuse me. Sometimes you have to tell people the truth, and it hurts their feelings. You can't. But what I'm saying is just putting people down and belittling them and basically trashing their self-esteem on purpose, which is called bullying, causes some kids to kill themselves in high school, stuff like that. Okay, so this is my opinion. I just wanted to say it, that I just think that we should fight like hell for our rights. I think they're important. They're not privileges. The moment you make them privileges or something temporary that can be bestowed upon some people or taken away at any given notice, no, that's not right. As in my life as a woman, I have gone my entire childbearing years under constant threat of having the rights of over my own body taken away from me. It's not a good feeling. Women's right to choose what happens to their body is the most basic of basic rights, and it's not just women's rights to choose over what happens to their body. It's everybody's rights to choose what happens to their body. Would men like it if they were forced to have circumcision? I was like, okay, don't say the wrong word here. What if all men were forced to have circumcision, whether they wanted it or not? Which unfortunately, because of religion, that's the way it's kind of been. But is that right? No. And a lot of men are choosing. Well, a lot of parents are choosing to not have that done to their children. So, yeah, I just think that forcing somebody to have something, have no control over their body. Anyway, this is starting to fragment because it's early and I have my coffee sitting right here and I haven't had it yet, so I'm gonna say bye, and hopefully this video made some sense.